Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you might be. I am Nicole BC, and you know everything. Alrighty, part 2, Apocalypse Thrive Guide. I think I called last episode Apocalypse Survive Guide. It was probably Survival Guide because that makes more sense, but like Thrival Guide, is Thrival a thing? We're going to find out because by the time you listen to this, I will have answered that question. But as the titles suggest, there are some resources for you. The last episode, it was more of a thought process, point of reflection, sort of 5 ways to think through adaptability and the apocalypse. This one is going to be a little bit more of a workbook approach because what we're going to talk about today is thriving in the apocalypse. And I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately, this is going to be defined in terms of resources. I don't want to speak for anybody else. I will, however, speak for myself. And I personally consider thriving to feel like I have what I need to be okay. And, let's be real. I'd like to have what I want as well. I don't need to have more than I want. Enough is a feast. But my raison d'etre, which if you've been paying any attention, you already know the answer to this question, is freedom. And in as much as I was probably born into one of the most privileged spots to experience freedom, I have certainly worked on my own definition of success and therefore freedom, because those two things are synonymous to me. That is my definition of success. It is freedom. But what does freedom really mean? Is it that I can speak my mind? Is it that I can walk safely down the street at night? Sure. I've defined it as I get to do what I want when I want to do it. And in the apocalypse, that has felt not always possible. But does that mean it wasn't? Why am I getting into this bullshit straight out of the gate? I guess what I'm prefacing the next 30 to however many minutes with is you get to define success for yourself. You get to define thriving for yourself. What I am going to focus on is the exploration of resources that connect you to your definitions of survival and thrival. Okay, maybe we will call it Thrival Guide. Anywho, I had initially called this episode 21st Century Wealth Building. And in doing so and in researching it and sitting with it, because this is one of the episodes I've been working on for a couple months, which doesn't always happen if I'm being honest. Some of them, I get a hit and I just go with it. It feels fun and intuitive and flowy, and also what everybody else is talking about. Like that, when I hear something and then for the next 24 hours, it's all that is reflected back at me. I'm like, okay, we'll make an episode about it. This was one that felt really necessary. I've been talking about this for the last year because I think things have been changing dramatically. And what I say for the last year, I mean very specifically with some of my advisors, my consigliere, people that have created a lot of, for all intensive purposes, wealth for themselves. And also recognizing that a lot of the ways that they've done that are either not accessible to people anymore because you need a lot to kind of make those models work, or those models are broken right now. And I don't know that they're coming back. Again, I know I've harped on about this a lot, and I've gotten to witness this acutely in my experience in the last 6 months. No surprise there. But if I told you that losing everything might be the best thing that ever happened to you, would you believe me? It's cliche as fuck. Trigger warning. Probably should have led with that. But there is something to that loss that is the epitome of freedom. And I don't know that you can experience freedom without that total loss and devastation for a lot of reasons. But one, I joke about this, again, if you know, you know, with a lot of, shall we say, plant medicine ceremonies, you go on such an incredible, air quotes, journey that it's normal life feels pretty great after that. Just, waking up in bed and clean laundry and living your life is pretty fucking euphoric. after the fucking hellscape you fucking survived after 12 hours of Aya, right? Anywho, I digress. The point being, like, there's something to that devastation that makes everything feel abundant as fuck. So again, I'm steering clear of this like hustle porn, rise and grind, just get back to it, brouhaha. I am talking about this like complete and total reset, a reboot of the soul, the kind of, you know, phoenix rising from the ashes that makes you question everything you were told about wealth, about safety, about success, about resources, about freedom. And I told this story at the beginning of the last episode, so I won't get that much into it because this is part of a 2-part series. So I'm trusting you're going to listen to both. You know, in my recent total loss, it was a kind of 18-month slow unraveling, which ended in, you know, culminated in a geological shift. I was clearly shown that, you know, one man's treasure is another man's trash. And while some of us, our worlds stopped spinning as they completely melted away, others experienced no disruption whatsoever. And both were real, both were valid. And it's not much of a sidestep to get to stand in one or the other. There is no one right way any longer. There just isn't. And I kind of think there used to be. Like, there used to be a pretty clear path, and you could just like do the right thing and follow the rules and, you know, sit down, shut up, do what you're told, and like get there. That didn't really play either, because if you're sitting down, you're not like walking down the path. But anywho, like, I was thinking a lot about my friends because I've led a fairly unconventional life. I didn't do that on purpose. It just kind of fucking happened. I never really understood any of the constructs or felt obliged to fulfill any of them. And like, I just kind of kept seeing problems and being like, well, I think this is going to solve it. And then doing that. And then here we are. Right. But like my friends, again, I told the story at the beginning of the last episode, who's lost their home in the LA fires, went to my place to hit reset, to reboot, to rebuild, and who are now living completely new and amazing and 10x lives. They did do everything right. They went to the colleges, they got the jobs, they got the marriage, they got the babies, they got the dog, they got the mortgage, you know, like they entrenched themselves in corporate life for 20 years. Like they did the dang thing. And they still lost everything. Like, there are no photos of any member of my girlfriend's like lineage and ancestry and family any longer. All of the kids' art projects, you know, I don't need to, again, it's not for me to tell their story, but like, sometimes it's really easy for me to go, well, you always kind of did things a little your way. And so like you didn't get like FEMA support, but like you're kind of not a real human. And or like, shall we say, participating American, air quotes. And, you know, you've run your businesses and your finances in a very strategic way, which negates your ability to draw on some of the resources available to people who followed all of the rules. So like, you know, there's a lot of blame in there, right? A lot of also like a false sense of control. Like, had I just XYZ'd, then I would be able to ABC. And like, I wish that there were finite points of influence that we could then turn to and go, well, that was the moment where everything went wrong, but it's usually a confluence. Anywho, I digress. My friends did it all. Like, they did everything they were supposed to. And the universe still fucking, it didn't even kick him in the ass. It like burnt their fucking house down. There is no one right way. There are no guarantees. Certainty has always been an illusion. This belief, this hopamine we've all been mainlining is dried up. And the way we figure it out is going to just simply be totally different. So how do you build and grow and go and course correct when the freaking ground keeps shifting beneath your feet? How do you find stability and vision into a future you've no idea what it's going to look like? I'm well into story time here, so sit down by the fire, pour yourself a beverage, my friend. Creative partner and I are currently working on 2 separate projects, but we're using each other as little like sounding boards and inspo hits. She sent me her business bingo card recently. And it was this beautiful little thing, like a bingo card with all of these little business goals, all of these metriced, time-based, super stretch, super fucking awesome, incredibly inspiring goals. And she and I we're in completely different businesses, but like similar size, similar length of time, similar price points, like service-based in this particular instance. So, they're like relatable. And I was like, I can't even relate to that anymore. Like I wouldn't even know how to put, like, as an example, number of podcast episodes, right? Like she had a number written down there. I don't fucking care. I don't care if I get 500 episodes out. I don't care if I do 5 more episodes. Like, it's hard for me to even think that through, how that could be relevant or why it matters. But for her, it makes perfect sense, right? Like, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like last week, this concept of adaptability as the number one tactic for apocalypse maneuvering. It's like being willing to go, I used to be that person that would have fucking thrived. I could have copied her business bingo card and like we could have played bingo together. Sure. That's just not me anymore. That's just not the reality I'm in. And also, maybe one day she'll show back up. Like I don't know. The systems we were taught to trust, the selves we thought we knew, they have unraveled. The economy, fragile. Retirement plans, laughable. Stability, a luxury very few can even afford. So we're living through the biggest collapse of our lifetimes, and also the best opportunity we've ever known. This isn't a crisis, it's a rebirth. In 2023, 61% of Americans reported living paycheck to paycheck, and over 40% of those earned more than $100,000 a year. So that's according to Lending Club. Social Security's trust fund is projected to run dry by 2020 or by 2033. And inflation is outpacing wage growth for most workers. So what you gonna do about it? This isn't just a dip. This is disintegration. And with every dissolution, there is a solution, right? There's this space to redefine, to discover what comes next. So we're going to talk about that in terms of wealth. And firstly, while we're talking, define wealth. I went through my version of freedom, right? I get to do what I want when I want. And I'll tell you, I'll be perfectly honest, it doesn't feel like that right now. And I recognize that is still my reality. I'm just making different choices. Like, I can go get a new bike, or I can make sure I have enough for tires, or I can go on a vacation. Like, I can hop on a plane, or I can go shopping. Like, could I do all of those things at once? No, but not because I'm not wealthy, because I wouldn't want to hop on a plane while shopping and also riding my bike and getting new tires. Like those things don't need to all happen in the same moment. So like, why would that limitation tell me, why would the story that I say mean I'm not wealthy? Because an older version may have thought like that, or an older economic system may have defined it like that. If you are feeling like I did everything right, or I've worked so hard, or I deserve ... and I believe we all deserve. Maybe you have the 401k that just took a massive fucking hit. Maybe you own the home that needs a $30,000 new roof. Like maybe you have the college degree with $30,000 worth of student debt. And so you feel like you're behind, or you've been left out, or like this collapse is literally happening to you and your world. And I see you because my world collapsed. I'm in it. This is what it looks like now. I made this for you because I made it for me. And we're standing shoulder to shoulder in solidarity. This isn't going to be about tips and tricks. It's like a complete rewrite. And that's what I mentioned in the last episode. Like the legacy code is glitching. You get to write your own source code. And we all have the ability to be coders now. So let's build, my friend. Let's develop. Firstly, what does wealth mean to you today? It's not about security. That's an illusion. It's not just about spending and consumerism, because if it were, you'd feel wealthy right now. I see your Amazon shopping cart. Like, abundance isn't just having all of this shit. Look around right now. If it were, none of us would be complaining. All of this is make believe, truly like make believe. And these perceptions were projections of the old system to derive old results, old goals, and really not for you. So when the foundation that you were standing upon as false was an illusion, where to from here? Side quest. As someone who doesn't have a 401k plan, again, full transparency, I'm into tax strategy, right? Like, for very obvious reasons. And not just because I don't want to pay tax. I actually don't have a lot of problems with that. That's a completely different conversation. A 401k plan isn't a wealth building tool. We've been led to believe, we've been programmed to think, if I have X amount of dollars in my 401k plan, I will be Y amount secure, right? A 401k plan is a tax deferring strategy. What it's saying is that I'm not going to pay tax on this income now because government daddy has led me to believe I'm not responsible enough to take care of my own sovereignty and livelihood. So I'm going to lock up my capital so that other people and organizations and corporate overlords and societal and economic structures that do not have my best interests at heart whatsoever are able to then leverage it and invest it and lose it. And this is not me assigning blame, my friend, not even a little bit. Like, these systems were designed to, the exchange was security for independence. And we all drank the Kool-Aid. Those models did work. 401k plans, pensions, retirement, they all existed, and it's not like everything's always been fake forever. They don't make sense any longer. Those models worked before housing and healthcare and education and like being the fuck alive became unaffordable. So when we look at these things and we go, why isn't this working anymore? We just have to remember it's because it just doesn't fit now. It's a square peg in like an 8-point star hole. Warren Buffett, who just fucking retired, no surprise there, right? His value investing, or Ray Dalio's global macro strategies, both of these gentlemen I have gleaned so much information and knowledge and expertise from, and I am not throwing any shade on them. I'm just saying their strategies were forged in a stable, expanding, industrial economy where the line went like this. There were blips on the radar. And even like Buffett will say what's happening right now is a nothing burger. He's got like $300 billion in cash. Everything's a nothing burger. And not that that's security, but that might be his definition of freedom, right? You and me, we are in a digitized, decentralized, destabilized, disrupted economy. And that calls for a radically different playbook. So yeah, Ray Dalio's advice, Warren Buffett's rules, they worked in a system designed for them. A system that is now obsolete for me and for you. We don't need another formula from a billionaire in a boardroom. We need maps for our souls. We need toolkits for our times. We need architecture that is flexible and adaptive in chaos. Like, we need the buildings that, if you're just listening, like that wave back and forth in the earthquakes, right? We need to be strong enough to both hold and release a vision every time things shift. Okay, back to story time. So I started with what if I told you that if you lost everything, it would be the best thing that ever happened to you? I didn't mean just money or livelihood or security, right? Or success. Like, in losing those structures, one loses identity, role, definition, relationship, like, and not just that, like, some people will drop out of your life because of how quickly things have changed, or they had to move because they were buried in a landslide and they can't be here anymore. Like, you lose your sense of self. And on the one hand, that is incredibly painful. But what comes the other side is who you are now today. There is a level of insecurity and shame and desperation that can come in this rebirth. And the things you would look to, how much cash at bank, how much I have in my savings, my income, my job title, my housing, like all of those things that for the most part give us a nice little dopamine hit, a hot shower, food in the fridge, the rent money, like, you start to strip it back and suddenly you think, I am worthless because I've been told that my worth is defined by these external constructs that are easily expressed through monetary value. So the beauty of these experiences, of these losses, air quotes, is that you get to redefine worth and value and wealth. It's not about the numbers, but it could have been the experience of shame because I could no longer define success in any way, shape, or form that I had in the past, nor any common definition that was available to me. There was a reality where I had failed at life. And this is a multiverse, my friend. So we are going to, I don't know if you're familiar with the Akashic Records, but we are going to imagine a wealth library. Or like, let me rephrase, wealth like it's a library. So all of the books or all of the tools you have access to right now to create this concept of wealth. These books are representative of skills, ideas, collaborations, experiments, relationships, experiences, sounds, smells, tastes. I mean, anything you can truly imagine. You don't own these books, but you can access them whenever you want. You know they're there, but you can't even begin to imagine every topic, every sentence, every metaphor available within. You can read one, you can read them all, you can pick a topic, you can get bored, you can get back into it, you can fall asleep, you can stay up all night. You get to adapt and play with this knowledge. You get to become the librarian of your own metaverse, your own wealth library. Because in this new world, this new epoch, we're not hoarding our wealth. We're not keeping it all for ourselves. We're both utilizing and leveraging the knowledge that we've all collectively offered into this library. You will become a jack of all and master of one. No one who calls themselves a specialist can't pivot. Like, it's not like generalists don't commit, but those labels are inherently limiting, right? And so what if you became like a shapeshifter? Am I getting a little too X-Men for you? Sorry, I was like completely obsessed with X-Men when I was a kid. Anywho, we have one mission, and that is to express what it is that we want in the attempts of experiencing it. Some of you will experience wealth through ownership, others through influence, some through healing, others through invention. But you might just want to hold space for others, just witness their rise. That's all valid. Those are all sacred strategies. We live in a world where you can get a PhD level education from YouTube, and now you can leverage an entire corporation, air quotes, of support through AI agents. Digital products can out earn physical labor. I remember arguing with people 20 fucking years ago about a website, and they were like, I own a little organic grocery store. Why the fuck would I need a website? Because now your grocery store is open 24/7, 365 to everybody in the entire world. Like, I don't know what's possible with that, but I know it's more than your actual grocery store. Like, but now you wouldn't even think of having a business without a website, despite if it's a terrestrial, like local mom and pop endeavor. AI and decentralization have blown open our existing restrictions and realities. If you've lost everything or anything, you're potentially in the most powerful place you've ever been. That space, that emptiness is going to give you the possibility to rebuild now, like in alignment, in truth and transparency with who you are and what you want here. You can learn. You have the capacity to heal. I mean, that's certainly what I've come to realize. I spent 2 months like ugly crying on the floor in the fetal position. And I know everybody thinks I'm exaggerating when I say that. I'm not. The privilege, the space, the reality that I could do that. And that wasn't just the hurricane. The hurricane was kind of like my own little pandemic because I just like worked 20 hours a day, 7 days a week during the fucking shutdowns. That's a different story, different episode. You know, I was processing death. I was processing move. I was processing relationship ending, like loss of so many things that had all been this slow build. I've worked my entire freaking life to create that freedom, air quotes. And I discovered that's actually being able to do what I want when I want to do it. Everything else was a choice that didn't feel like a choice. And yet I was able to do it anyway. And I'm still coming to terms with what's on the other side of that. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, you get to learn, you get to heal, you get to experiment, you get to detach from what should have worked and tune in to how you will work now and then. You're not broken. The world is. You are being called to become something more than safe and secure. That was the goal. Now we are asked to become sovereign, to redefine wealth on our terms, to stop chasing this concept of abundance and start embodying enoughness. Because in the new world, in this new world, we're living in it already. Wealth isn't what you have, it's what you're becoming. Okay. So that was a lot. And I'm like, whoa, how to do this, right? Like I said, there's going to be a resource attached. I'm not saying you need to go back to school. I mean, let's not even go there in terms of like how outdated fucking alphabet after your name is. But I do think knowing how you learn and how you grow and how you develop is a non-negotiable. So you do need a strategy for self-learning. Your wealth curriculum might include, like, I'm going to pull out some old paradigms, finance and investing. Y'all, YouTube, Udemy, Coursera, Skillshare, like those are the top 3 on a Google search, probably because they paid to be there. I mean, Google owns YouTube. There are like entire online universities. I have got 6 AI courses just queued, ready to go for when I have, that moves into my foreground. AI and automation. ChatGPT will literally tell you how to use ChatGPT. Prompt engineering, Notion AI, Claude, like the learning model will tell you how to learn to use the learning model. I literally asked ChatGPT, look, like we've been making some fire headway in terms of research for one of my projects, but like Am I prompting you in the best way possible? And obviously it blew a little sunshine up my skirt, but we created a little cheat sheet just to make sure that I am truly asking the best questions I can to get the best out of AI. Sales and copywriting. I don't know if you've been on X/Twitter recently, but there are the world's best writers literally telling you how to write for free. There are templates that are being sold. So they're called swipe files. I mean, there are so many plug and play options. I don't know if you're old enough for this, but there was a old game we used to do on road trips called Mad Libs. Like there's literally like, hey, first name, I am a job title, seeking need, right? Like you can literally copy the experts. And for like $29, buy their business plans, their marketing plans, their contact lists and databases, their community hierarchies and structures. Like it's all out there to get started. And you knew I was going to say this because you know me. The most important thing is your own energy, your nervous system, your spiritual body, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That thing that begets all things, how you show up. I'm going to do an episode on that as well, my friend John, but that's another story. My breathwork coach is in Arizona. Like and I do it via Zoom. Nervous system regulation. There's whole courses out there now. There's whole tools out there now to give you the type of therapy and healing that used to only be available to the wealthy. See what I did there? Intuition training. You want to learn how to be a magician? You want to learn how to be psychic? You want to learn how to believe in any of those things actually existing? It's all fucking there. So step 1, build your own wealth degree. Choose 3 topics, study 30 minutes a day, apply one thing weekly. Like I said, we're not reinventing the wheel here, but what we are doing is creating a little bit of a map for your soul so you can get to your desired destination, however you want to define that wealth landing pad. A 2. Old model, 1 job, 1 ladder, 40 years. New model, income stacking. I think this is a buzz term. We can pretend that I coined it though. So you've heard everybody be like, all millionaires have 7 streams of income. Sure, there's no such thing as passive income. There's residual income. But I've always thought of my entrepreneurial umbrella as a brand, right? AKA BZ. 1 core identity, multiple expressions. If I want to show up at a yoga studio, does that make me a yoga teacher? No. Does that make me a serial entrepreneur? 100%. Recognizing, and believe me, I'm the first person to say you do not need to monetize your passions, your skills, your best stats. But like as an example, we had friends visiting, right? They're fire fucking cooks. And I found myself being like, what's your best biscuit recipe? I've expanded my dietary experiences. And I've been cooking all of my own meals pretty much since 2020, but like I just do the same things. I'm super lazy and it's just me and whatever. But like watching these people cook these beautiful meals and plate them beautifully just because 50 different times I'm like, give me and I was like, why don't you just make a recipe book? And they were like, I have 3. Cool. Like throw them in Canva. Get AI to design a cover. If you want to copyright it, go for it. Publish it. Throw it up on a fucking Amazon shop. Throw it up on a Spotify. What's the TikTok shop called? I can't remember. But like, you could give it to your friends for free or like charge them $6. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like charge them $600, whatever it might be. But like this particular example, this person is all of their content is food. Every place we go, they're taking pictures, they're plating things, they're lighting it. Like this is their passion. Why the fuck not? Just throw it up there. Again, like it's capitalist and colonialist and you shouldn't charge for things that you love. Like that's old shit. Cover costs, whatever it might be. Anyhow, I'm getting like a little lost in the weeds. The point being, there are probably a lot of different ways you could create additional ways of opening channels to abundance, wealth, freedom, happiness, whatever you want to call it, right? We all have skills We can all call them a service, whether it's coaching or consulting or designing. They're your superpowers. So you probably take them for granted because you just assume everybody thinks like that. Like my ability to like sequence and strategize and like see 15 steps down the road. I just thought everybody could do that. I also can see like 10 different paths. And then, where my magic shows up is I know which path you want to walk down, especially if you don't. But then I also know like the fastest, easiest way for you, not me, you to get there. I just thought that everybody could do that. And I can't find anyone who can provide me with that level of service because they tell me about the path they should take, or they tell me about the 10 paths I could take, or they tell me about the 18 things they should do in order. And it's like, no, this isn't useful for me. This is useful for you. But I digress. Product-based residual income. So that's exactly what I'm talking about with my girlfriend, like creating a recipe book, like ebooks, courses, templates, like basically everything I just shared in the previous example. Again, you probably take it for granted. The thing that your friends or your compatriots, as I like to refer to them, your community, the thing they keep asking you for over and over again, what if you just created a template and said, here's a link for it. And yeah, there's a price point on it. If you feel weird about that, I have like 15 different episodes around there. But ask yourself in this new world, would you enjoy if every time somebody asked you for ... you got a $20 Apple Pay? Community-based monetization. This is charging for membership, having a Patreon, having a newsletter that people pay for. What's coming up for me as well in this particular example is like the share economy. So like the old neighborhood that I was in, we just kind of had like a running list of like lawnmowers and like hedge trimmers and, just like different household appliances everybody might not have because they're the things that you use once or twice a year, unless like that's your actual job. And you could just like borrow them, right? There's a tool library in the city that I live in, and it is literally a giant warehouse full of everything from commercial kitchen utensils to house cleaning utilities. I don't know, like tools, like a fucking vacuum, to like chainsaws. And like you could build a house, you could clean a house, you could cook for 100 people. Like those are and you could plant a farm and like take care of a farm, right? Like, and it's incredible. And you can just go there and it's like less than $20 a year and you can use any of the tools, and they provide skill building. So like I learned how to use a chainsaw there when I had to cut myself out of my street. Anywho, so community-based monetization, like leveraging like that, capital-based investments. So crypto, stocks, real estate, but like your way. I think a lot of those models are also broken. I don't know what new models look like. I'm literally trying to figure that out with my property right now. And it's been clunky as fuck. And I think we're kind of all enjoying the process. They didn't know they had signed up for that process, the people that are stewarding the land, but we're figuring it out, Okay. So firstly, just redefining wealth, or potentially defining it for the first time ever. Secondly, this wealth curriculum, if you will. Third, income stacking. So different ways that you can open these channels to wealth. Now, fourth, nervous system wealth. If you don't feel safe, your strategy won't work, right? This is what I mean when I talk about like the energy behind the action. We now realize that everything outside of us is make-believe, and security and safety external to our own experiences is an illusion. That means we are in charge of our own safety and security. We are the only ones that can make us feel safe and secure, and we need to start there. I don't like to tell you what to do. This is 100% me telling you what to do. Without safety or security, internalized safety and security, you will self-sabotage, you will hide, or you will drop right back into that hustle harder grind culture and you will burn out. Wealth isn't a mindset. It's a capacity for safety and security. The more safe and secure you feel directly correlates to the amount of wealth you experience. I'm not a somatic healer. I was going to be like, I am a yogi. It's funny when I was like watching all of those like Instagrammers be like somatic healing practice. And I was like, it's called yoga, but I digress. It's a great way to fucking get into your body, though, and expand your capacity for safety and security and regulation in terms of your own nervous system. Some of us want to daily track it. I did that in cognitive behavioral therapy, like rate your feelings, describe the trigger, rate your feeling, like rate what you believe could have been a contextually appropriate response. So like, you know, someone cut me off. I went to an 11. I wanted to kill them. I thought they were trying to kill me. Reality is it was probably like deserving of a 2 in response because like we're just driving and they might not have even seen me. So that kind of exercise, I just took a client through a shadow walk, not dissimilar, more subconscious archetypal work. We're tracking regardless. Celebrate receiving. These are the gratitude journals, my friend. I don't need to explain that. You know what that is. And then building your tolerance for holding more. That's the beauty of losing everything. My, oh my, does it expand your capacity for tolerating chaos? Whew. This is how you build energetic wealth. Those are just a few strategies. There's a lot more out there. But again, I don't need to be like, there are plenty of people spewing that stuff all over the internet. The point being, though, this isn't about getting rich. It's about staying rich. So if you've lost it all, or you feel like you are losing it all, maybe what you lost was the lie that's been told to all of us that we all believed. The lie that safety equals employment, that retirement equals security, that debt equals failure, that wealth is a number. The truth is, wealth is adaptability. Wealth is alignment, value alignment, and not value like monetary worth, value as in what's most important to you. Wealth is knowing who the fuck you are once everything falls apart. You're not behind. You're just not hypnotized any longer. It's time to build something real. No more make-believe. I mean, everything's make-believe, right? I believe it, therefore I make it. But you know what I'm trying to say. We, you, me, us, we're going to rise together. So it's time to find yourself. It's time to build this bridge out of the apocalypse and build this wealth from the inside out. The world has changed, and so have we. So let's build it together. Don't forget to access the little workbook that I have created with this episode. I bet that's not what you thought wealth building was going to be all about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. This is not where I thought it was going either, but here we are, not having any answers and doing the dang thing anyway. Thanks for playing with me. This one was really fun. Like I said, I've been kind of muddling on this. Okay, one last story time. It's funny because I was like, wow, do I get to talk about wealth building any longer? I talked about it heaps when I was wealthy. And for all intents and purposes, I still am. Don't listen to my like fucking pity party. It's just the numbers look really different than what they used to. And I've had so much insecurity around that. And in my building connection and community is like a big thing for me now because of my little lone wolf story. And I talk more about that in the part 1 of this series. But I didn't think I could make this episode because I don't have the same monetary resources that I did, say, 2 years ago. And when I talk with the people I referred to earlier in terms of wealth building strategies, every tactic felt like it was built in the 1900s because it was. And I just don't understand how that's relevant anymore. And I hear the Ray Dalios and the Warren Buffett saying this is a nothing burger. We've been alive for 1,000 years and there are ups and there is downs and what goes down must come up and so on and so forth. But like, can't help but believe that digital communication, digital currencies, and decentralization are wild cards. And I believe everything's getting better. I'm more optimistic than I've ever been. I have no idea what's going to happen next. I know that I made a really cool fucking episode. If you're still listening, case in point. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, discouraged, defeated, please hit me up. That's the whole reason I create these, is to open this dialogue in this channel to you specifically. And I can also share some resources with you. There's some really cool communities that I'm participating in. There's some really cool concepts that I'm playing with that I think are going to change the world. and the world's already changed. So I'm right. I'll see you in the next episode.